welcome to Senior Moments, Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka, your host. I'm the Area Agency on Aging Director with NACOG, and you can reach us toll-free at 877-521-3500. Senior Moments, Successful Aging is co-sponsored with Yavapai College, the Division of Lifelong Learning. Our co-producer are Connie Vargas, and you can reach Connie at Yavapai College 928-717-7755, and Allie Bateman from the Area Agency on Aging, and you can reach her at that toll-free number 877-521-3500. Welcome to the show. We have two guests today, and they're both from Yavapai College, actually, in a roundabout way, right? From OLLI. We have Tricia Berlowe and Rita Wuermann. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you so much.
And so you are the coordinator for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Yavapai College.
I'm the current coordinator.
You are the current coordinator.
Correct.
Okay, and then Rita, it says you co-owned a truck farm and a landscaping business, but you are at Yavapai College. Do you work at the college?
I do not work at the college now. I'm retired.
Okay.
From the position that Trish now holds.
Okay.
That's why I said I was current.
I was the first, and then there was another, and now Trish.
The first. Mm-hmm. What a great thing to help. So you helped to build it.
I did.
Because it's an amazing program.
It
and
is.
I'm
It's
excited
wonderful.
about you telling us all about it, because I just think it's very, I know that there's lifelong learning institutes throughout the country.
Yes.
But to me, it's every time I hear about it, I think it's so unique. You know, so tell me about how it got started, and I think we should start with Rita, since you were the first.
No, the first. Yes, well, we're celebrating an anniversary this year, which is the 25th.
Yes.
25 years.
Yeah.
I remember when it started.
Yeah. Do you?
Wow.
I do. I know I've been around a long time, too. She's like, wow, yeah.
That long, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been there too. Henry McMonigal started it. He was running the elder hostel program, overseeing that at Yavapai College, which turned out to be the largest elder hostel in the world from Yavapai College. And he had this concept. I have no idea where he came up with it, from others, I suppose. And he was excited about the concept. And I'm very excited about it. I've always thought it was just fabulous.
I do too.
And so I think he advertised in the newspaper and gathered a few people who were interested, and they came together, and obviously they were excited about it. And they formed a governing council. It's all self-directed, peer-directed and led. And so from those few people, it began and just kind of grew and grew. And then I came on a few years later. I'm not exactly sure, maybe a couple of years later. At the time, there was no funding or anything for the program, so Henry used the secretary from Elder Hostel to kind of keep things going. And when they could afford a full-time administrator, they hired me.
So wise.
You're very kind.
And the whole idea, too, was that they knew that not everybody who was retired wanted to take a full semester class.
Right.
They didn't want to do tests. They didn't want to write papers anymore.
Yeah.
And they wanted a different design to meet the needs of people who are retired.
And speaking of the needs of people who are retired, to me, when we have so many people here who have relocated from somewhere else and they come in their retirement years, when it's very difficult to make the connections that you do when you're working, your kids are in school, and so on. So to find people who are intellectually seeking and wanting to be with each other in an intellectual way and a social way. I think it's very important for those people to have this. And as Trish said, it was set up in the beginning with just 6-week sessions. And they were always called learning groups rather than classes, because they were facilitated. They facilitated their own learning groups. And in the beginning, I don't remember exactly, we maybe had 6 or 8 or 10 learning groups per session.
There were 14, I counted. at one point. So
In one session?
yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, I know. So that was a pretty good start. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
went and counted
wonderful.
because I'm doing a what we're calling Flashback Fridays now, kind of trying to be back to what it was like in the beginning. They started on only Fridays because that's when you were allowed on campus. Is that right?
Well, that's the only time we could get classrooms
Right.
because obviously
Okay.
credit classes took preference.
Right.
And so that's what we did. We offered 10 to noon learning groups on Friday morning, and then we all went to lunch in the cafeteria together. So it was a very social thing, and very deep and lasting friendships have developed, and a few romances too, which is nice.
Still happening. Just saying.
I believe it. And then,
I love romance.
Yeah.
and it's perfect for Valentine's
It
Day,
is.
right? And then in the afternoon from 1 to 3, there would be other learning groups, and everybody would disperse for that. And it was very different then because it was small. Now you're going to maybe tell me numbers because I don't know them, but 87 is
Yeah, I think
members
that
is
was-
what sticks in my mind
think
from
that-
when I started.
I think 87 people was the start.
And you're up to what now?
Well, over 1,000 in the course of a year.
Wow.
Yes.
So
I'd say that's
so
some
it's-
growth.
it's-
That's some
yeah, quite a
significant
bit.
growth.
Yes.
Well, when they hired me, because they were so excited about the whole concept and wanted to share it and wanted to expand it, that is, they asked me to grow it. And that was my goal, was to grow it. So we, and I especially, talked to every group in town. I got lots of free breakfasts out of it.
Nice.
It was wonderful, and so we just gradually kept growing. We thought of every media and every possible way to grow it and get the word out, and eventually it did. And oh my gosh, when we hit 200, they were so excited.
And now you're over 1,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So in your background, so you had a truck farm, and then a goat farm, plus you're a reporter. So you used all those skills and
Well, it
doing
did
what
come
you,
in handy,
Yeah.
because I had a kind of a varied background.
I want to know how the goat farm skills applied.
Well, I'm
Getting up early, that must be.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
not
The truck farm I could see growing.
herding
right?
the goats?
Yeah. She was growing.
That's perfect.
Well, my background is I'm a social worker, and I was working with children before I got this position.
I love it.
So there is some translation there.
Yeah.
Well,
no
teaching.
Absolutely.
To teaching and learning
Yes.
and socialization. I think that's, and it's lifelong. It goes through our life.
Yeah.
Those are transferable skills, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think let's step back a little bit and talk about the concept, so that folks that aren't really familiar, like the three of us,
Right.
With OLLI, how does it really work? So let's say I don't know anything about OSHA lifelong learning.
Oh, shall I start? Because
Sure.
I think it's different now.
Right.
Yeah.
It has evolved, of course, which it necessarily would with more people and more technology. But in the beginning, the learning groups were simply pure discussion groups.
Okay.
That was the idea, that everybody was involved. And some lifelong learning institutes around the country utilize paid professors from their college and so on. And our group never wanted that. We wanted to be more discussion group, self-directed, and so it's a 6-week course. You meet 2 hours once a week for 6 weeks. In general, there are exceptions, of course, and oh my gosh, the subject matter is so, everything from psychometry to oceanography, from Muslim culture to Prescott history, and and that was one of the reasons that they wanted to grow, was to bring in different people with different backgrounds and expertise, and who could lead discussions about different subjects.
So a lot depends on who comes to the table. So you could come to the table and say, I'd like to lead a discussion group on.
Yes. And
Okay.
it evolves all the time. So now, really, OLLI is pretty much the same. It's just much larger. So instead of just classes on Fridays, we have classes every day of the week. We're starting to expand to evenings. We have one Saturday morning. We have a balance class coming up this weekend. So there's all sorts of, opportunities. We've run out of space, basically, so we keep kind of expanding out. We have about 120 to 130 facilitators every year, producing about 300 classes. So actually everybody on average does more than one.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yes. So we still do 6 weeks. They still meet for 2 hours once a week typically, but that is not always the same. And we just have expanded kind of what we do in it. Like you said, it just depends on who comes in the door. So I'm very excited because we're going to do a Russian for Travelers class. So cool, because this lovely woman came in. She's a native from Russia. She's a Russian speaker. She's delightful. She said, no, really, I can teach you Russian. We're all kind of looking skeptically at her like, what?
Okay.
And now I'm going to get this all wrong, and poor thing, she'll have to teach me. But she said, no, every English word that we have that ends in T-I-O-N, so nation and revolution and whatever, if you just add one more, whatever the last syllable is there in Russian, it means the same thing, and you got the word. She said, look at that, you have 5,000 words already you didn't even know in Russian.
Okay.
So she was just fun and
Oh,
delightful
fun.
and convinced us very quickly, wow, this could work and work in 6 weeks. You're not going to be writing Russian. That's never going to happen through OLLI, but you could travel. So that's just an example. And we had this wonderful Tai Chi instructor who arrived and said, hey, I'd love to be doing Tai Chi through OLLI, so now we've added Tai Chi. So there's just some great things going on, and it's exciting and it's fun, and they come in with this enthusiasm and want to share what they know or love, and you don't have to be an expert. Yes, obviously my Russian speaker came in with some expertise.
Well, that's
But,
one
yeah.
aspect
Yes.
of it, but the other side of that is that the facilitator very often picks a subject about which they know nothing.
Bingo.
And then they do the research. And so they're growing intellectually at the same time, and then they're able to lead the group into a whole new area, which is very fun, I think, to be able to do that.
That would be fun, almost like a book club. You pick a subject
Yes.
and you study it, and then you all learn it together.
Yeah.
One of the favorite things we did was a class on Tibet. Sue Nauman did that one. And so she is not an expert in Tibet. She doesn't have a history. She just said, okay, I'm going to start doing some research. And she actually did a couple of things. She prepared some material to present and introduce history and culture and whatever. And then she also came up with a list of ideas and invited the class to then go do their own research. So you come back with your own little 20-minute presentation about the relationship with China or whatever, or modern day Tibet. And so then the class is all participating. Some of them are doing some research, some of them are doing little presentations for each other, and then it opens up. So then they all have something to contribute as well. Again, maybe none of us are experts in Tibet, but they can have and they had a wonderful time discussing it and learning from each other.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it is very fun.
And you've got a big celebration come up, and you mentioned the 25th anniversary. So what are you going to do to celebrate?
We have plans. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do something called the Taste of OLLI. We really want to share OLLI with people who haven't heard about us.
Right.
I can't believe there are people who haven't heard about us, but there
It's
are.
not for lack of trying.
I am trying. But so we're calling it the Taste of OLLI. It's going to be on May 15th, which is a Wednesday, 2:00 in the afternoon, right on campus. And we are going to have little mini classes so that you can just come. Well, we're going to have snacks because, food helps.
It always helps. Have food, they come.
Exactly.
That's right.
But we're just going to do these little 30-minute sample classes, basically, where you could go to a couple different classes and move around on campus a little bit and experience a kind of a sample of what OLLI is like, and hopefully then introduce some people who might then be interested in getting involved. So that's on May 15th, Taste of OLLI. And then we are also having a big party for ourselves because 25 is a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, so we're calling it our Silver Celebration, which I'm having a hard time saying.
You said it well just then.
There's a lot of S going on there, but so Silver Celebration.
Don't
job.
overthink it.
Good
I know.
Don't overthink it.
Twice in a row, you're okay.
Stop. So May 23rd in the afternoon, again and again. Some of this we really designed because we're dealing with retirees who don't always like to drive at night or whatever. So we really do, kind of think that through. So in the afternoon, we're going to use the Performing Arts Center over at the college. We're going to have singers. We're going to have some, view back on history and kind of celebrating. And then we're going to have, food and cash bar and cake, I'm sure, and it'll be a big celebration at the Performing Arts Center.
nice.
So it's going to be a nice party. And
A
we're going
big birthday
a
party.
huge birthday party, and we're going to do our very best. There are certainly some of our we have tons of members in town, of course, but there are some people who maybe have gone back closer to where their kids are as they've aged or whatever. I'm going to try to lure them all back in. That's my plan.
Fun.
Kind of an alumni
Absolutely
party.
It is. It's a homecoming.
Nice.
You know what you're saying about the Taste of OLLI is similar to what we used to do when we were still small. For every session, at the beginning of it, we would use the Yavapai College Performance Hall lobby. We would have a potluck, which,
Nice.
of course, the
Pretty hard
food.
with 1,000 people, I think. Yeah.
And we would have the facilitators sit at a table, each one at their own table, and they would give a synopsis of what their learning group was going to be, and then we signed up right there. So
Right.
it was small enough then that you could do that kind of thing.
That almost sounds like enrollment used to be what for high school and college, right? You'd go up to the table
Yeah.
and you'd meet the English
exactly,
professor.
yeah. Yeah, so you could ask questions to see what direction it was going to go. And then we would have stuffing parties also. So there was another social aspect. So because there was only me, so I couldn't fold and stuff all those schedules and newsletters and so on and so forth. I guess I could have, but it was more fun to bring a whole bunch of people together, and when we would have parties for that. And
Right.
so there was a huge social aspect to it, which is how people got to know each other so well.
Well, it sounds like you're definitely going back to your roots.
Yes.
By doing those little 30-minute classes.
Yeah.
Little did you know.
I know. No, I didn't actually know that part.
Yeah.
And I did mention Flashback Friday. So now all through the spring, we're trying to kind of recreate what it was like back in the beginning. We're doing Fridays 10 to 12 and 1 to 3, hoping everybody goes to lunch at the cafeteria, kind of stacked up a lot of classes and choices on Fridays. So trying to
Fun.
help, kind of reconnect people that way. Things are different now. We don't fold and stuff anymore. Machines do all that, but we do all sorts of things. We have tons of volunteers. I have about 150 active volunteers. We have committees. We do all sorts of social events. They plan fun things. They go do wine tasting. They did an olive oil tasting. Totally
nice.
cool. They're going to do the Embry-Riddle Planetarium as so lots of local things where OLLI members get together and go do fun things. We do special interest groups. So you mentioned book club. We actually have a book club and a chess club and a whole list of things that are a little less formal than a class, but still gathering together and enjoying each other. Writing, they do all sorts of things.
So
together.
you
Yeah.
keep saying OLLI members. What does that
Yeah.
mean? How do you become an OLLI member?
Well, maybe it would be better for you to go
Yeah.
into that because
Sure.
that really has changed
Yes.
quite a bit.
So it is a
since
little,
the beginning.
yeah, it's different than say just taking a class. You actually join OLLI as a member. There are a
Okay.
couple different choices for membership fees with some rules about classes and things, but it's very inexpensive, and it's how then we support all the things that we do, of course. So like you can do $165 annual membership, so it's good for 12 months from whenever you start. And you can take 20 classes all year for free.
Wow,
And
that's a
then
lot.
all the workshops you want, which are one-time deals, that's something else we kind of have added. We do lots of one-time workshops. Speakers from the community, special, just one-shot deals on Medicare or whatever.
Those are great ways to get
Yeah.
new people involved
Yes.
too, to get them in the door.
Yeah, so those are all free on top of that. So you can take 20 classes and 50 workshops if you wanted to. You'd be moving in with me, but that's fine. I joke about people, hey, we offer cots. Come on over. So we can, you can be as busy as you want with OLLI, but it really helps people, then meet all sorts of folks and get engaged. And then we move people from member to facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get their foot in the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so what other kind of memberships could you have if you didn't want to do that?
So we do have a $65 annual, but then you're paying $30 a class. So that's great for the one person who wants just the iPad class. I want to learn my iPad, Tricia, and then I'm too busy playing tennis or whatever.
Right.
So that works. So kind of come and go and doing less. But if they're going to take a bunch of classes, that ends up being pretty cost inefficient.
Right.
So we always encourage the 165 for
I
people.
would think so.
Yeah. And then there is a $10 try me for brand new people. So just $10 in the door and then $30 a class for 1 6-week session just to kind of check us out.
Well, that's
I
great.
think those
Yeah.
help people
Yeah.
who don't feel that they want to make a big commitment
Right.
at some point. And
That is a great way to
I
do
think
it.
it's a great stepping stone to
and we
do
have
it.
scholarships. We can do full rides for people because we always want it to be accessible. So we never want it to be kind of, there are people living on such fixed incomes.
They can't afford
Well,
that.
yeah, $165 is significant in their budget.
Right.
So we have full scholarships.
So
yeah.
to be a facilitator, you need to be a member. Is
Yes,
that correct?
that's
Okay.
what we hope. Occasionally we'll have guests come in, we tag them up, team them up with somebody
Okay.
who's a member.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole
I
idea.
think the membership is important because then they are a part of it.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm going over to the college to take a class.
Right.
I think that aspect is very important.
Because it sounds like, okay, so let me make sure I got that right. So if I'm a member at $165, I can take classes.
Yes.
Like 20 classes. I
Yes.
can take as many little one-time workshops as I want. But then I also could go on these little one-time things, like go to Embry-Riddle to the planetarium.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I could go to the chess club.
Yep.
I might be able to go to the wine tasting.
See, we book your time up, boom, boom.
Boom. And then I'm a busy woman now, all of a sudden, just like work. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot more fun.
But you can see how the romances happen, right?
Yeah, and then we get into the romance part. And and we know now in aging, because that's what I do. Well, we're all aging, but that the socialization piece is so incredibly important to our health.
Absolutely. Yes.
And if we aren't getting out there and doing it and we're sitting at home, it's harder on us than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It is now
I'm using that.
quantified.
I'm using
It is
that.
and it's worse than being obese.
So interesting.
And we now have health data to show us, and you can use that.
Wow.
Yes. And
I want to tell you one story about a man. I was going to lunch from my office. I think we were in building 1 at the time. And I walked out to the front, and there was a man sitting on the planter out there, and he was crying, an elderly man. And so, of course, I had to stop and talk to him. And he was a recent widower. And he had known about, at that time it was the Yavapai Learning Institute, he had known about it and wanted to come in. But he just got that far and he was just kind of paralyzed. So I took him in and signed him up, of course. And the transformation was incredible. Because he had a place where he belonged, he had people he was with, the socialization. He became one of our best facilitators. It was, it was fabulous. And you were asking about how to become a facilitator. They have, I should say.
you are a we. You're a member.
She
you are
is.
in.
I am.
When she retired, she got a lifetime membership.
There you go. There you go. You
Pretty
can say that.
posh, yeah. So we have a curriculum committee. And so everything except all this office work that Trish has to do is volunteer. And they're all members. And so a curriculum committee sits and evaluates people who are thinking they want to do a learning group and have put something together, so they do a presentation to the curriculum committee, who actually decides whether or not that will be presented.
And supports them if they need some help or gets them some mentoring to help, plan a class or even a co-facilitator.
Oh,
that
that's
kind
a
of thing.
wonderful thing that's been instituted,
Yes.
is mentors coming in, because for your first time to facilitate a learning group, it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Just like being on television.
Some of our folks are teachers, very experienced, which is
Right.
lovely. But frankly, sometimes our less experienced folks who come in with a great idea and are excited, maybe like our Russian speaker, will end up being a better teacher, because I love our professors, but they're used to being in a classroom with students and homework, and it's just a different
It's a different, isn't
environment
Absolutely.
than OLLI. And the stories I hear over and over again is, well, like I just, the other day, we had a couple of gentlemen put together an artificial intelligence class. Now, these are not experts. They were reading books and researching and found some stuff online and put together just, here's what we could find and share with you. They got in the classroom to present to the room, and there are 2 people in the room who were like, well, that was my job. So
And you're like, okay, I'm intimidated.
Right. Yes. And that's the beauty of OLLI.
Okay.
Then they get to add and jump in the conversation and talk about their experience. So I don't know that we'll have a fluent Russian speaker in the class, but we might.
You never
Who knows?
know.
That's true.
But just this idea that you'll have people, just amazing people in this classroom to add and contribute. And it could be that they know more than the facilitator, and we welcome that. And so we bolster our facilitators. Don't be intimidated. Welcome that. They can help you. It's fabulous. They can explain things you might not be able to about artificial intelligence because they worked in the field or whatever. Yeah, so it's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah.
That's a different way of looking at it. Yeah. Because at first I would have been intimidated.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why aren't you teaching? Well, we'll work on that too, facilitating.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Well, and maybe
Yeah.
you don't know the ins and outs of how we run a learning group
Right.
and the things about how we sign up and so on. And so it helps to have an experienced mentor there.
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah.
So what do you think, if you could pick one thing that makes OLLI successful, what is the key? What would you say, Rita? What is the key to OLLI's success?
I would say that it is the dynamics of the members coming together. Now, one thing about this is that they're very excited about OLLI, and they're in there doing that. But at the same time, these people have so much to contribute, and they're going out into the community. Because of the vitality of this group, they're going out into the community and doing all kinds of wonderful things for the community at large. So I think it brings in the entire community and gives people a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And continued learning. I mean, we all know that's what it's all about, is
Yeah.
continued learning. And so that's why they're excited about it, I think. They feel that, and they feel that belonging.
Do you have anything to add to that?
She did a pretty good job.
I think so too. I think so too.
I mean, I think you already really said this, but kind of there are these amazing people with so much to contribute, and we've given them an opportunity to do that
Yeah.
and to continue to do that. And one of my bragging points is the two people who were elected to the school board here in Prescott. The latest two are both OLLI members.
All right.
Just saying that, yeah, we're out there in the community, and not that OLLI necessarily, but it does. It helps people to learn about the community when they've moved here and get more invested in all of that Prescott has to offer, and then give back in lots of ways beyond just OLLI.
Is there anything that you would say that would surprise people about OLLI?
Well, I get blown away when you hear the resumes and the backgrounds of some of these folks.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
I'm like, oh, the CIA. You weren't supposed to tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Or whatever. I
No,
could tell
she's
you
not.
more, but I'd have to kill you. Oh, all right. Don't tell me anymore. But so, and I'm joking a little bit, but I'm not, that these people have had these unreal careers
yeah.
and experiences, and it's just fascinating.
That is the best part of it, is that people look at gray-haired people and they see an old person only. They forget that they're real people and that they've had real lives, and this is where that can come to the forefront.
Thank you, Tricia Berlowe. And thank you, Rita.
And thank you.
Yeah,
And-
thank you for having us.
You know what? I think it really just adds to the fabric and the tapestry of the Quad City area in Prescott. And OLLI helps us bring that tapestry together. I really thank both of you for being here today. And thank you for joining us today on Senior Moment, Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka. Until next time.